Hey guys, welcome back for episode 2 of Odds Are, your weekly S&P options forecast. I'm your host, Chris Torres. Last week, we made a few predictions. We actually said there was a high probability that the market would breach above or below breach points. Let's pull up the chart and see if we were right. As you can see, the market did not disappoint. We actually breached both of the breach points and the market stayed within the expected settlement range. What the market did not do was breach below the Parabolic Sar level. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means for the weeks to come. But first, let's take a look at the moving averages. No surprise here, everything is still flashing green. Everything says buy, buy, buy. And I'm not talking about in sync. But this does not mean that you should go out and buy any index funds. It doesn't mean that you should go buy any stocks. It's simply a reflection of what the market has been doing. But enough about what the market has been doing. Let's talk about what the market will probably do. This week, your breach points are 39.45 on the top side and 38.66 to the downside. We've got about an 81.24% chance that the market will breach one of these two levels. Not quite as good as last week's odds, but I'll still take them. They're still pretty good. Let's look now at the Parabolic Sar. As we mentioned, it was not breached last week, so this week it just goes higher. It keeps trailing the movement of the market and getting tighter and tighter. The levels went up from 38.25 to 38.79. If the market does breach below this 38.79 level, all of the same metrics from last week are in play. Let's pull up that chart here. All right, so if we look at these charts, you can see that if the market does breach below, which is indicated by the red bars, all of the metrics, everything, average change, average down week, the ratio, everything drops. So we have a much more bearish tone in the week following the week of the breach. So if we get that breach this week, we are looking to have a much more bearish weekly session in the week to come. But we'll see what happens. Let's look now at the settlement range. So we are expecting a settlement range between 37.92 and 39.67 for this week. Odds are about 78.88%. So still pretty good odds that the market will stay within that range, but we are still keeping an eye on that 38.79 level. Let's look here at the relative view. So you can see what the market's been doing recently and where all of these numbers kind of fit in relative to the market performance. And I think that we've got a pretty good thing going. I mean, last week we stayed within our forecast, and I'm not really surprised that it didn't breach beyond those settlement ranges. Those are pretty wide ranges. And this week the market range did kind of, tighten up a little bit. But I'm looking at this market and I'm saying, you know what? Maybe it's time for a correction. Now, I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm just, sell everything you have, get out of your positions. But this is actually a good intro to my favorite section of the show. I didn't see that one coming. So looking at how the Parabolic Sar is just creeping up higher and higher, and looking at the fact that the market did breach both of those breach points, but more importantly, it breached to the top side and then came all the way back down and breached to the downside. So the market closed the week on a much more bearish note. So we are looking to see next week if the market continues that momentum, that sentiment. A lot of times people will, make their trading decisions based on various indicators, based on fundamental analysis. I like to take a look at the numbers and say, I know I can be wrong, but I want to make sure that I have the information that's going to tell me what the market tends to do. And if I can be on the winning side 51 out of 100 times, then as long as you employ proper risk management protocols, you'll come out ahead. But enough of that. Let's take a look at the quote of the week. So your quote of the week is by Mr. Alexander Elder, who is the author of a very, very famous book called Trading for a Living. I've read the book. Very, very, very useful for anybody getting into trading. Touches on trading psychology, touches on technical analysis, fundamental analysis, risk management. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. But his quote says, remember, your goal is to trade well, not trade often. Sometimes on this week, we will have 3 or 4 indicators flashing very, very strong signals, and hopefully you can take advantage of most of them. Some weeks we'll only have 1 or 2, and that's okay, because we're not looking to trade every single week. We're not looking to trade often. We are looking to trade well. So keep that in mind. Happy trading, and I will see you guys next week.